Hello there, and if you saw yesterday's video, you'll know that I've already built a Fallen Order scene into a LEGO Star Wars diorama. If you want to see closer up of this diorama and how I put it together, you'll have to check out yesterday's video, because today's video is once again all about mechs. And I've built not only a Sentinel mech but also a Captain Rex mech. I'll feature that later on in the video, as the main focus I feel should be the Sentinel mech. I've started watching the X-Men animated series again, and I decided that I might as well put this head to use and build a Marvel Sentinel mech. And you can see that it is just held on by a bracket, so if I did want to fit a minifigure inside, if they ever make a Sentinel minifigure, which I don't think they will, especially not at the minifigure scale, then you can add a minifigure in there, and when the minifigure is away you can turn it into a Sentinel. I think this is a really cool mech, and it's one of the mechs that I feel like we should expect from Marvel. It's one of the perfect things to turn into a mech, and yet we haven't seen a Sentinel mech, especially because a Sentinel is usually 2 to 3 stories high, well, at least according to the Marvel wiki. So you can see that here I have a pile of 1x1 bricks which shows each story according to my Lego city, which I have tried to keep as minifigure scale as possible. And you can see my one's about 2 stories high. Of course, if I wanted to reach a 3rd story high, I'd have to go against all of the mech proportions that we've got for both Star Wars and Marvel. So I did what I could with what we've been given with the mech proportions. Of course, you all seem to love the bendy arms, so I had to include the hinged arms, and I've actually used the usual leg piece that we're getting on all the mechs now and tried to bulk it up best I can, add in plates where I could. I could have done like with Hulk, as Lego have, and just added another leg piece, but I wanted to be a bit more creative and use a bunch of different pieces to give it the boots, and tried to stick to this purple and blue colour theme, which is very close to Thanos, so perhaps it looks a bit more Thanos-y than like a Sentinel, but I think it gets the point across. And if we had more Lego pieces in this colour, or at least if I had more pieces, I perhaps could have switched it up and made it all fit with this colour, but I simply just do not have the pieces to use. And even though it's just these 1x4s, there are a few more complicated pieces on the arm here, and on the underside it's looking very grey. The whole thing's looking very grey, but it is a mech, so it can't look exactly like the character. So I've made it as close as I can, and of course you can't have the Sentinel without the X-Men, so I've actually got the new Marvel CMF Wolverine here, which is in some action position. Perhaps he's just been thrown by the beast, as tends to happen a lot, and he's pouncing at the Sentinel, which looks pretty cool. I might actually add this to the Lego City. If I had the space, this would be no questions asked, but I just don't know exactly where I'd sit it. But it looked really cool in the city, especially with that action pose I've given Wolverine. You can see that the Sentinel also has the wind coming out of its fingers, like in the animated show, which I feel like I'll be saying a lot now. But I've also added the laser into the palm, which is just one of these blasts on a stud with a hole, which clips into the center of the hand there. And you could even add some of these clear round bricks I've used to levitate Wolverine onto the bottom here to show off the jets that allow the Sentinels to hover. But I think that that might be overdoing it. It just goes to show all the play features though that we could get if we got a Sentinel mech. I think it would be really nice to get, and I have brick built the back of this mech to represent the new plates that we get in the Star Wars one. It's not too hard. I mean, I can keep it still so you can jot down all the pieces I've used, but it's just a 1x4, some wedge plates which you can use, the slightly sharper wedge plates though. I think this gets the angle across a bit better, and just with the general shape of them looks a bit nicer. A 1x2, this sort of underneath inverted slope bracket, which you can use 2 of these for, and I've just used this to cap off the bottom. This is all being held on by a 2x6 plate, which is just hidden underneath, well, technically on top of all of these Lego bricks. And you can see on top that it just allows the 2 slots for these ball joints to be clipped, and is really the perfect substitute to that piece. I don't see why Lego haven't used this amount of pieces, perhaps to keep the piece count down, and it was cheaper for them to just make a whole new mold. But I do definitely like this way of designing them, and I've even custom made this front torso piece here, which I didn't have a spare for. I could have taken Thanos's, but I decided just to completely rehaul the design. And again, I haven't made this too complicated. You've got the two hinge plates here, which again, if I take off the head, you can see that this piece isn't needed, but the two hinge plates here, this is just a plain 1x2 that I've used to flush out the back here and make it the same size as the one mold Lego use. But I've then put a 2x3 plate on top of that. I then have designed the front as I wish. This case I've used a 1x2 tile, a jumper plate with that trans red tile on top, and two of these slope pieces which just have the brackets on the side, which enable it to go flush with the back of the mech. And taking a quick look at the head, I've just got a bracket, two plates on top to give the head that height, and attach that to the top of these hinge plates, which just fits in like so, and means that it doesn't need a minifigure to sit in, and the Sentinel can battle the X-Men. And of course Wolverine is going to end up beheading the Sentinel, and perhaps it comes crashing down, but for now it's sort of battle worn. And of course I'm sure Lego would add a few cracks as stickers around the mech, but I'm going to go whack this in my city. Perhaps keep an eye out, you'll see it in the next city update. But now is the time to take a look at one of the funniest mechs I have made, and it's not even because of the mech. We have Phase 2, Phase 1 Captain Rex. I don't have a Phase 1 or Phase 2 Captain Rex for that matter, and that means I didn't have a helmet, so this is a Rex figure. In fact, this is my custom Rex figure I've created with the Karma, with this little top piece. But as I don't have a helmet, I've nicked the dinosaur, the T-Rex helmet from one of the Lego costumes, which I think it was a CMF from not too long ago, and it just really completes it. I'm not sure what it is, but I just really like the T-Rex helmet on the Rex mech. And you can see I have given Rex his two pistols, which I think I did see someone else make a clone mech. I think it was for Cody, not Rex, but they gave him the wrong gun. They gave him this gun, but only one of them, which was very confusing. So I have gone with the two guns, and you can see I've added the pauldron in on the top with the blue bit coming off to the side. Again, I have pieced together both the back and the front, just how I showed you with the Sentinel. So you've got the 1x4, the two wedge plates, the 1x2, V-slopes at the bottom, and the 2x6 running through. Only this front is a bit different. In fact, I can pop this off and give you a closer look if I don't pull it apart first. So you can see, again, the brackets add that extra bit onto the back so that you can reach the back of the mech. And that is what I've clipped this wedge tile to, which is just a 1x1 like cheese slope, I guess. And you've got the same pieces used for the back, the two hinges. This time I've used, instead of the slopes that go on the top, I've used these slopes that have this extra bit hanging out, and I think perhaps that would be slightly better, just because if you don't have something like this hanging out, you can get different coloured tile, or perhaps even a printed tile in there. And if Lego was to give us something similar, it means that the two stickers wouldn't have to try and line up as close as possible like Gringotts Bank, and they're just sticker or tile, that one piece, which I guess would probably be printed, as that is sort of the way with these mechs. And I've just added the slope. You've got the black little pouch that comes down like you see on Rex, and just made it as unique as I could. Although I have sort of copied this from the Thanos mech, which ironically I took off the Thanos mech because I didn't think it suited it, and I didn't really like it. But especially with all the white below this, I definitely think this mech needed it. So perhaps I can understand what Lego did, and maybe I will add that back to Thanos at some point soon. But I've also created the arms here to have that blue stripe down the side. Even when straightened, there is only half a stud's width of space between them, and still allows Rex's arms to be fully posable, as well as on the other side just replicate the same thing really. And taking a closer look at the blaster, you can see I got the little bit that comes out, I got the little slope. I tried to replicate it best as I could. Obviously the front has this bit hanging down, which, because I was using the 5x1 plates, I couldn't really help. So I just added some round bricks on the back to increase the length of that and sort of have the holster go round its thumb, which I guess is resting on the trigger. You've also got space for Rex's two actual pistols that are minifigure size to clip on, and the legs have the Karma that is printed on in recent clones. So hopefully there's some side of leg printing coming soon for these clones, so the Karma does continue all the way around, and even the little ammo pouches that do clip on to Rex's belt are present on the leg piece. Again, you've got the blue that is present on Rex's knee, and I just made this look as much like the character as I could. You've even got the sole that sort of goes in a bit on the shoe, which I've just used this 2x2 plate. And in fact, I think this is the tile with the jumper stud. It is just to create that extra roundedness on the toe, which I couldn't have mimicked on the top. So I hope you enjoyed both the Sentinel mech and this Rex mech. I definitely enjoyed building them, and I think they turned out really good. Especially together, you can see just how much taller the Sentinel is because of that headpiece. It adds a few plates of height, and perhaps it's also to do with the boots. But I do enjoy building these mechs. I can't wait to see what LEGO have got in the new year, and let me know out of these two, or perhaps even out of my whole collection, which is your favourite mech that I've built so far. Please like the video if you do indeed like the video, subscribe if you see yourself returning often, or perhaps you want to see what the future holds on this channel, and of course, may the bricks be with you always.